What's up guys, John McAuliffe here. So today we are back and we are doing another storytime video. I uploaded a storytime video and asked if you guys wanted to see more of those, and you guys really left a lot of love. So maybe it's just me, but I don't really see many like guys doing these sort of videos. So I think I'm going to start doing more and more of these videos for you guys. So if you do want that, make sure you let me know down below and leave a like on this video. But let's get into the story. So last year I went to Melbourne for a YouTube meetup where me and a bunch of other YouTubers came and met a whole bunch of you guys. And while I was there, me and my girlfriend decided to go like on holiday and do some touristy things in Melbourne. So on one of the days we decided to go down to the beach. It was the beach that had like all the fancy little sheds and they're all different colors in Melbourne. So we decided to go there and we had to catch a tram and then a train to get there. So we caught the tram and that was all good, and then we get to the train station, we put our tickets on the thing and get on the train, and the train was completely empty. There was like one old man sitting on the train and then the rest of the seats were completely empty. So we went to sit down and we went to sit on this seat, and it's like a seat that's like, it's just like a normal seat, but then across from it is another normal seat and they're both facing each other. So we decided to sit there and we sat there and we put our feet up on the other seat, and it wasn't like really like fully on the other seat. It was just sort of like our feet were just like leaning against it sort of. And then the train went for like 30 seconds and stopped at the next stop, and at this stop like some instructor, like train guard, police, he's like a police but like just for the train. Like he's not really a police, like it's like a security guard for the train. And he gets on the train and he like walks straight up to us, and we've only been on the train for like 30 seconds, and he walks straight up to us and he's like really cranky and rude too. He's like looking at us up and down. He's just like standing there with like a grumpy old man face just looking at us up and down. And then he says, "Can I see your tickets, please?" I don't even think he said please. I think he just said like in a really cranky way, "Can I see your tickets?" So we give him our tickets and he checks them out. They're all good, of course, and there's like nothing wrong with them. So he gives them back and he just like keeps looking at us like he's trying to find something we're doing wrong. And then he sees our feet, like they're not even on the other chair, they're just like leaning on it sort of, like on the side. And he's like, "You know you're not supposed to have your feet on the chairs." And we're like, "Oh, we didn't even realize." And we were like being so nice and polite to him. And we're like, "We never really catch this train. We're from Canberra and we don't have trains in Canberra. We only have buses. And on the buses, you're sort of allowed to put your feet up on the chairs." And he's like, "Well, you're not in Canberra at the moment." Of course, as soon as he said it, we took them off. And he's just like really rude to us. And he's like, "Can I see your IDs?" So we get our IDs, but I realized in hindsight, we should have just said, "Oh, we don't have our IDs with us," and like gave him a fake name or whatever. But we didn't. We were being really nice and we thought like, we haven't done anything wrong. So we give him our IDs, and then he gets this like little train conductor booklet out and starts writing our like names down. And then he like calls on his walkie-talkie to the other train guy. Like he called for backup sort of, like to witness what he was doing. And then another train guy comes down and then he like shows us his ID, his like train conductor ID, and he's like, "Yes, I'm like an officer of the train," or whatever. And he's like, "Alright, I think I'm gonna have to fine you." And we're like, What for? What do we do?" And he's like, "For putting your feet on the chair." And we're like, "What, really?" But like we didn't even realize. And there was a sign like as you get on that says "Don't put your feet on the chairs," but like we didn't really take notice. Like we were in a new city, we were like enjoying like the sights, so we weren't really paying attention to that. And we were like really apologetic, and it wasn't like we were taking up space from other people, because there was literally no one on the train at all except for this one old man sitting up there, and he's like watching. This old man's like watching all this happen, and they weren't even like really on the chairs. It wasn't like we were stamping the like soles of our feet all over the chairs. You know how the chair like curves like at the end? Like this is like the curve of the chair, and our feet were like here, like sort of leaning up against that curve. And we're like, "What, really?" But we didn't even realize. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I have to send it off to like the Victorian government and they'll assess it and stuff." I'm like, what are they gonna assess? And yeah, he's just like being really rude. It's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to send it off to the Victorian government. They're gonna assess the situation and you'll get notified in 6 weeks if you got fined." And we're like, "How much is the fine gonna be?" And he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be about $300. And we're like, "What? Just for putting our feet on the chair?" And he's like being so rude. And at this point we're like starting to get frustrated. Like we're in Canberra, we didn't even realize we had to do this. So we're just like, "Don't worry about it, we'll just deal with it later." And I was still thinking in my head like, freaking, we had our feet on the chairs for 30 seconds. It's not gonna really be assessed. It's gonna go off to the government and they're gonna be like, "This is stupid, why would we fine people for this?" So I was just like, "Yeah, whatever, they won't fine us, it's gonna be fine." So then once these two train police people got off the train at the next stop, and then that old man who was sitting on the train, he like obviously heard everything that happened, and he came up to us and he was like, "Hey, I think that was so stupid how they're like trying to fine you for doing that. Like there's graffiti and there's rubbish all over the train and people are getting away with that, and he thinks he can fine you for doing that, and you were like so nice about it." And he's like, "Here's my number. If anything happens from it, you can call me and I can be like a witness to the situation for you." And I was like, "Oh, thanks so much." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't think anything will happen. I'm sure it will just go to like the government and they'll be like, yeah, and dismiss it." And that was like first thing in the morning. It was like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. and it like ruined the whole day. So after we went home to our hotel that night, I started like researching who these people were to see if it's like legitimate and like real. And I think it was called like Yarra Trams, like they had Yarra Trams on their like badge. So I searched up that, and it seemed like it was like a really stingy company. Like they wouldn't even put their trams and buses and trains on Google Maps. Like, you know how you can go on Google Maps and like put in public transport? Well, their buses aren't on there because they want people to use their own like Yarra Tram app because it has ads and they like make money from it instead of using Google Maps. And I thought that was so stupid. Like, I could already see like this organization was gonna be like a really annoying organization. But eventually we were like, yeah, it doesn't matter, we're not gonna get fined, we won't worry about it. So then we forgot about it, and like literally like it was more than 6 weeks. It was like literally like 10 weeks later, we both received a letter in the mail and was a fine for $286 for putting our feet on a train. And I was so angry, like, and I was so pissed off. Like, I felt like I hadn't really done anything. Like, if I had like done something wrong, I'd be more okay with like getting fined for it. Like, if I was speeding in a car and I got fined, it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have been speeding, I'm gonna take the fine on the chin. But this, I felt like we didn't do anything. Like, I really like felt innocent. And on Tianan, my girlfriend's letter, they had spelt her name wrong. Like, the guy who wrote down his notepad must have been like illiterate or something. So then on her letter, it still had the right address, but the name was wrong, and we were thinking we should just send the letter back and like say this person doesn't live here because it's like the wrong person, and just be like a smartass. And then I thought, oh, we could also write a letter explaining like we were from Canberra and we didn't know and all this stuff, and hopefully the people will understand. Like, who wouldn't understand that? So I wrote this like really long, well-worded letter that was like 800 words or something, and I wrote it like explaining we're from Canberra, we didn't realize, and I sent it in email, and then I got an email back the next day saying like, we've received your letter, we'll respond in 60 days. Probably like 45 days go past, like a month and a half go past until I hear back from them. And I received this email, and it's like literally like one line, and it's like, hey Joel, received your letter, we're not letting you off the fine, thanks, and then the guy. And I was so angry, and I wish we had just sent Tianan's letter back saying she doesn't live here, because I doubt they would have like gone to the effort to find out her real name and like put it in, because that's not against the law. If they put the wrong name, it's like in the law it's not real, like it's for someone else, so that's their own fault for messing that up. So I wish we had just sent that back, but we were just trying to be the nice people and like just talk to them about it. So we both ended up having to pay $286 for putting our feet on the train for like 30 seconds. Like $280 I feel like could buy like a whole row of seats. But we just took it, we paid it, and it was just so frustrating, but it's done now. So let that be a lesson. Hopefully you guys, this doesn't happen to you. If you're ever on a train, just don't put your feet on the damn train. And I feel like also if that happens, just tell them you don't have ID. Like, they can't fine you for not having ID. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that story time. If you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up. And if you want more of these story time videos, I really like filming them. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and let me know down below if you liked it. And if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.